other guy coming?
Okay. Shabbat Shalom. I ask all of you to please take your seats. And before we begin, we have a little prelude, so why don't you sit back? That's what you're doing, actually. It's Shabbat, relax. And our prelude, if you want to call it our overture, is a beautiful piece of music called Or Zarua, written by one of our own products of our temple, which is by Michael Weiner, and his parents are right here. And this Or Zarua is what we begin our High Holy Day Yom Kippur service with. So just listen. If you want to talk to your neighbor, please don't. No.
'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we are in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. And true simplicity is gained. To bow and to bend we shall not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till when turning we come right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we are in the place just right, we'll be in
Freedom's a thing that has no ending. It needs to be cared for. It needs defending. A great big job for many a man, carrying freedom across the land. Freedom's a thing that has no ending. It needs to be cared for. It needs defending. A great big job for many a man, carrying freedom across the land. Freedom's a
Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we are in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight.
Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to a very special Shabbat service honoring our beloved Rabbi Eli Herscher. We know there is an abundant feeling of gratitude, warmth, and love in our sanctuary this evening as we acknowledge Eli's 40 years of service to our community, the Stephen S. Wise Temple. A few words to help us make everything go as planned. 1. All the prayers and their respective page numbers can be found on the program that you have received. See this? It's all there. Just refer to it or ask the person sitting next to you, and they will be equally as confused as you. Just teasing, of course. At the conclusion of the service, please allow Eli, Bonnie, and their family, the clergy, the past presidents, the board of directors, everyone who lives in Encino. Excuse me, no. I can't help myself. I don't know why this happens. It must be, I don't know what it is. To exit and lead us to the reception being held on the plaza. Now, some of you may know I'm a foodie, and I saw what's out there. Actually, I'm telling you, wait till I leave first, and then you can follow me. There you'll have an opportunity to express your sentiments to Eli and Bonnie outside in the tents. They asked me to say wishes for Eli, or blessings for Eli. My personal word. Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How awesome is this place? That's what's written on the Ark, which was your first building project as a senior rabbi of this place. For 39 years, we have shared this very place, this makom, in the place of the makom. Every Shabbat, Yom Tov, High Holy Days, programs, weddings, baby namings, and funerals. All a part of the cycle of life. We have been colleagues, friends, with Bonnie and Donna and our children. We have become family. The memories are intertwined with all of our congregants, our friends, who have shared our lives with us and we with them, and loved watching our special relationship as brothers as we traveled on our spiritual journey on this ship right here. I thank you for your love of Jewish music, Eli, and the support that you have given me all these years. I wish for you a long and healthy life with Bonnie, with your entire family, that you continue to serve the Jewish people in a way that brings you satisfaction and inspiration, ruchaniyut, which is an important part of your life. My prayer for you is tied to the words that are written above our ark, that I know inside you these words live and you feel in your soul. These sentiments are given to Jacob, and I paraphrase them as they're coming from my heart to your heart, and from bayit to bayit, from my house to your house. Kuma achi, lech kadima, lech lecha, besimcha, b'ahavat Torah, v'ahavat Yisrael. Arise, my brother, go forward, walk in joy and in blessing, in the love of Torah, love for the Jewish people and for Israel, as you have walked your whole life on that derech hayashar. For all those who could not be here tonight, for all the thousands of lives, thousands, literally thousands of lives that you touched, inspired, and comforted, I say to you, Toda Rabah, thank you. Yasher kochacha, for a job well done. Continue, tamshich, with the good work, maseh yadecha, of your hands.
Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, Hakadosh, 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 Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu.
Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Hamlachei Hamlachim, Hakadosh, 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 Baruch Hu.
Stephen White's Temple has been many wonderful things to my family. Yes, it's certainly been the place where my husband has spent his entire career as a rabbi. It's also been the scene of countless memorable stories. Tonight, I'd like to share one of those stories. The year was 1977, and I was a young single parent with my 7-year-old daughter, Dawn. Dawn and I were healing from a great loss in our lives, and I was searching for something that might help with that process. So one Friday night, I found myself on this mountaintop in this beautiful sanctuary, sitting right in the middle of this section over here. And a very lovely woman sat down next to me. I didn't get her name, but we began chatting. And during the service, I could feel her eyes on me. And at some point, she leaned forward and she whispered in my ear, "You know, you really should meet our nice, young, single rabbi." True story. I was pretty surprised. Not exactly what I had in mind. However, I took a look. I looked up on this bima, and I saw a pretty young guy with longish brown wavy hair. That's a true story too. And the most beautiful blue eyes, the blue eyes he still has. So I took her advice. I took her advice and I met him. And a few months down the road, we had our first date, and the rest is history. So it was on this bima, some 38 years ago, that we were introduced, married 2 years later, celebrated our 3 children's bar and bat mitzvahs, and again tonight, marking a new time in our lives. The woman that sat down next to me in services so many years ago, I never saw her again. I still don't know her name, but I have thought about her, wondered if she ever knew what she started. So if by some chance you might be here tonight, or wherever you may be, I want you to know that I would have loved to have given you a hug and said thank you for introducing me to what was about to become the very best part of my life, Eli Herscher. Shabbat Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'vratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techilah lemikra'ei kodesh,
Please be seated.
Psalm 29 is in your books. It's part of Kabbalat Shabbat, the prayers welcoming Shabbat. And it's characterized by a repeating phrase, Kol Adonai. Kol Adonai al Hamayim, The voice of God is upon the waters. Kol Adonai b'koach. The voice of God is might itself. Kol Adonai b'hadar. The voice of God is majesty. Kol Adonai shover arazim. The voice of God breaks the cedars. Kol Adonai chotzev lahavot eish. The voice of God flashes out flames of fire. For me, this psalm captures Eli's essence. As a rabbi and as a Ben Adam, a human being, the voice of God speaks so loudly in his heart. It is the voice of God that evokes him to passion and compassion. We've experienced the fervor that clearly stirs the impassioned words he has delivered from this very bima. We've seen the tears he shared with us when his spirit is deeply moved. We have been touched by Eli's heart. We have felt the voice of God within him. It is the voice of God that drives him to teach and to learn. That is, after all, the core of the rabbinate. And we soak up the wisdom of our tradition and we translate the message to the communities we serve. Whoever has studied with Eli has heard the voice of God speaking through him. It's the voice of God that has given Eli the energy to lead, to inspire, to guide, to fight for the causes he champions, to captain this ship that is Stephen Weiss Temple. All of us who have worked with him as partners in this sacred work have experienced the voice of God that drives Eli on his mission. In our eyes, in our lives, we can close our eyes to God. We can turn away from the holy. We can close our ears to that voice of God. We can fail to be moved as it speaks through those who lift us up. But tonight we recognize the voice of God is within us. We open our hearts as we celebrate Eli, our rabbi, our friend, our strength, our comforter, our guide for these 4 decades. A Ben Adam who reminds us God is the ever-present Spirit that speaks to us, sometimes loudly and sometimes with barely a whisper, and makes our lives worth living. Amen.
Ashrenu, happy are we. Ma tov chelkenu, how good is our portion. Uma na'im goralenu, how beautiful and pleasant is our lot. Uma yafa Yerushatenu, how beautiful is our heritage. Shema Yisrael, hear O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
Shema ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
So, Eli, in my 2 minutes I've been allotted, I thought that we'd try something new. I was going to borrow this lady's harp and you and I would do some sort of a duet, but I figured maybe this wouldn't be the best time to start it. In all seriousness, I wanted to relate to you the story from my perspective of our first meeting, and I think it will tell a lot about us, you and I, and also probably other people's stories of how they relate to you. So it was the speed round of dating of HUC, where all the congregations in the country who are looking for a scrub rabbi come to a certain place, and there's half-hour interviews, and some places were interviewing 17, 18 people. And I remember walking into each room, and it was like getting ready for some legal arbitration. There was a team of people and a table, and they had their questions that they're going through. And okay, so doing this, and then when you and I sat down, it was very, very different. First of all, it was just the two of us. There was no table between us. And we had a conversation. And I remember the conversation very, very well. You had asked me about my Israel experience at HUC. And I had told you quite truthfully that it was a very mixed experience in terms of different perspectives and where I fit in and where I came in. And I had actually told you that I had seriously considered not putting that Israel experience that I had had on my resume because I thought it was going to keep me from getting certain jobs. And it probably did. But you and I started talking about that, and right away we realized that we were very much on the same page, cut from the same cloth, the same philosophy. And I thought, you know what? This is a guy that I can really learn from and relate to. And I remember the words that you said in that first interview. You said, this is in context of a larger conversation, you said, the Jewish people shares much more than a common history. We share a common destiny, and you believed it, and so do I. And that's when I thought, you know what? This guy is deep. He's deep. So you invited Marita and I to come out to see Stephen Wise Temple from New York, and it happened to be a very cold spring, so we said, sure, why not? Let's go to Los Angeles. And in most of the interviews that we had gone to across the country, if I got an hour with the senior rabbi over the course of 36 hours, that was considered to be appropriate. And you practically picked us up from the airport. And our first half day here was spent in your car. And you drove us around all the different neighborhoods. And you get to know people very well if you spend half a day in their car together. And I remember you took us to your house over by Beeman Park, right? Your old house. And I remember you speaking to Marita and I about your life with your young family. And Marita and I thought to ourselves, you know what? It's not just a rabbi here. This is a family man, someone who really understands the importance of the whole thing. And that it wasn't going to be family in spite of being a rabbi. It was the family makes you a better rabbi and a better leader and a better holy man. And we thought, okay, this is someone that we can learn from. And then the kicker, aside from really liking you, okay, is when we came in here to this congregation, to this to this sanctuary, and you were very embarrassed that there was a teacher's day and no students were in school. Rabbi Yoshi, there's a couple of those around, right? But I remember coming in here with Marita and you, and we looked and we saw how this was all set up, and it wasn't a bima up there with everybody else down here. This was worship in the round. And you told us about what it meant to have worship in the round and what it meant to look at other people as you were worshiping. And we thought to ourselves, this is a place that we can call home. The final thing I'll say, and I could go on, is Marita and I moving here with our son, Mac, who is not yet 3, and we moved here with no family. And for years, the two of you opened up your home and you became our family. And when things got very lonely here, which they can, we were at your house for Thanksgiving and Passover and swimming in the pool and just hanging out. And we really, really appreciated it then, and we appreciate it now. So Eli and Bonnie, for both of you, mentors, peers, friends, role models, and I really, really, Marita and I both, from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for everything that you've done for us. Thank you.
Many nights we prayed with no proof anyone would hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know
As we chant the Mishaberach, prayer for healing, may I suggest that if there's someone in your life that is in need of this prayer, that you think of them at this moment. If you access the Stephen Wise Temple website and you click on the clergy section, there you'll find biographies. Rabbi Herscher's biography includes information about his parents and family, Rabbi Zeldin's invitation to join him here at the temple, acknowledges his many contributions and a great deal more. The short paragraph with which the biography concludes, however, reflects perhaps more than anything what I think captures so much of who he is. This is how it reads. The deepest priority of Rabbi Herscher's rabbinate remains in his commitment to the spiritual growth of the members of his community. Over the years, his congregants have come to know that he is fully present for them as a leader, spiritual guide, source of strength, teacher, and friend. You know what I realize? So many of you in this room could have written that final paragraph. As clergy, we have regularly scheduled meetings together. We also had private meetings with Rabbi Herscher. And virtually every 2 weeks for the last 11 years, he and I would meet alone in his office for an hour on Friday morning. We usually began with matters related to the temple, but when we felt we had covered them, often our conversations would veer into something quite different. There were moments like when we spoke about some of the more painful episodes in Jewish history that each of us would have tears in our eyes. And there were times when we would share thoughts about Israel, or we would speak about our families. These discussions too would leave us with tears of joy. And when the hour concluded, Rabbi Herscher would stand, gently escort me to the door, and warmly wish me a Shabbat Shalom. For the last 2 months, we have been reading in the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. At its core, Leviticus taught our ancestors the ritual and moral practice that were needed so that God would live among them in the tabernacle, in their community, as they wandered through the desert for 40 years to the promised land. Eli, some 3,300 years later, you have guided us and given us the ritual and moral practices so that God would live among us in our sanctuary and in our community. And for this, you have our immense gratitude. And now, with every hope and expectation that your family will return often, tonight I join with everyone here as we metaphorically stand and escort you to the door. And I do so with tears of appreciation, indebted to you for the time we have spent together, as I and a deeply grateful congregation warmly wish you a heartfelt Shabbat Shalom. Please rise for the silent Amidah.
Eli, Rabbi Umori, my rabbi, my teacher. Tomorrow we'll read the last two parshiot of the book of Vayikra. And when we conclude a book of Torah, the custom is to cry out Chazak, Chazak, Vanit Chazek, which literally means strong, strong, we will be strengthened. The custom of saying Chazak at the end of a Torah reading goes back at least 800 years. And some say it goes back even farther, 3,300 years, to the time of Joshua. And here's the setting for that custom. Moses has just died. And it's now Joshua's job to lead the Jewish people into the promised land. Naturally, Joshua is nervous. Who would want to follow Moses? And who would want to lead 1.2 million Jews anywhere? I don't know how you've done this for 40 years. Let alone having to conquer a land and lead a military conquest. And so God comes to Joshua, and God says, as I was with Moses, so will I be with you. I will not fail you nor forsake you. And then it tells us in the book of Joshua, Chazak ve'amatz, ki ata tanchil et ha'am hazeh. Be strong and resolute and courageous, for you will lead this people. And then 2 verses later, it says, this book of the law, Sefer HaTorah Hazeh, shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, that you may observe and do according to what is written in it. For then you shall have good success. And so later generations concluded that when God gave Joshua this blessing, when God said to Joshua, Chazak ve'amatz, Joshua was cradling a Sefer Torah in his hands at that moment. And so a practice which is actually not widely observed today is that after every reading of Torah, the congregation cries out, Chazak. But the practice that is widely observed today is that at the conclusion of a book of Torah, we say Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek. Eli, you are a strong and courageous and resolute leader, and you have led us well for 4 decades, 40 years, a number of biblical perfection and completion. I've been fortunate to have witnessed the grace and strength and wisdom of your leadership for the past 3 years. And I have seen you lead time and again with a Sefer Torah in your arms, cradling the wisdom and the teaching of our tradition in your leadership. And let us acknowledge again that you haven't done this alone. You've done it with Bonnie by your side, and you've done it with your children, with Dawn and Adam and Sarah. They're with you as well, and they have given you strength through their love and through their support. Eli, Chazak, you are strong, and you have led us with strength and courage. Chazak, may your strength continue as you become our Rabbi Emeritus, as you transition into the next chapter of your leadership. And Eli, nitchazek, not only have you given us strength, we will continue to be strengthened by the Torah you've taught, by the wisdom you've shared, and the love and friendship you've granted us. Chazak ve'amatz chaver.
הערב בא, שקיעה בהר יוקדת, אני חולמת ברות עיניי, הגיא נערה קטנה יורדת, ובאש כלניות לו את הגיא, את הפרחים לצרור ייתן לקט לה, ובשבילים המתכסים בטל, אל אמא היא נחברת וקוראת לה, הביטי מהר והיא לך בשר. כלניות, 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 אדמדמות אלמוניות, כלניות מצוללות עינניות, שקיעות בהר תבערנה ותדעכנה, אבל כלניות תמיד תברחנה, סופות לרוב תהומנה ותסערנה, אבל כלניות תמיד kalaniot adamdamot atumoniot kalaniot emetulalot einaniot שנים עברו, שוב השקיעה יופרת. הנערה כבר סבתא ידידה, הנה כבר נכדתה סגה יורדת, ושוב עניות בורחות בגן. וכשקוראת הנערה אליה, הביטי סבתא מה הבאתי לה, לצחוק בתימס זוהרות עיניה, והיא זוכרת שיר מזמור נשכח. כלניות הדמדמות הצפוניות, כלניות מטוללות עינניות. כן הדורות באים חולקים בלי גבר, אך לכל דור יש כלנית וזמר. אשרי האיש ובן סוכות ורעב, פרחה הכלנית לו רחבה. כלניות הדמדמות הצפוניות, כלניות מטורללות עינניות.
Wow. You are one good-looking group. It's unbelievable, Eli. Very cool. As you rustle through your programs to say, who is this guy? My name is Glenn Sonnenberg. I'm the current president of Stephen Wise Temple. It is my great pleasure and humble honor to speak on behalf of you, the community, in speaking about Eli and what he means to us. Rabbi Yehoshua in Pirkei Avot, the sayings of our fathers, instructs us to make yourself of a rabbi, acquire for yourself a friend, and judge every person favorably. When Andrea and I came to this temple years ago, as each of you did, we came here to find a community and to find a rabbi. That we would, in finding a rabbi, also find a friend was an added benefit. A quick check of the statistics shows that the average job tenure in the United States is but 4 years. The average coach in the NFL hits this number on the nose. Clergy are a tad better, with their average at 5 years. Sadly, even the average marriage lasts but 8. Eli Herscher has been our rabbi and our friend for 40 years. Such tenure is a tribute both to Eli and to this community that he has led. So how does one honor a relationship that has defied all the statistics? How does one community show its gratitude to its rabbi? Kind words can be spoken, a service like this one perhaps, a photo in the hallway. Well, that's reserved for temple presidents. But our temple leadership was looking for something more meaningful, more lasting, something to serve as a living tribute to our rabbi. No doubt most of you have heard of the many remarkable accomplishments of the Wise School and of our youth programming. One of the things missing from this experience has been a gymnasium. That gym will shortly become a reality, as Hershenson Hall will be reimagined as a first-class multi-purpose sports and cultural facility. And that's not all. Part of this project is the space in front of Hershenson. It is the heart of our campus, connecting what will be Katz Pavilion, our schools, and our sanctuary. This place will soon become Shalom Garden, a permanent, living tribute to Rabbi Herscher. This project will change our temple and our schools forever. Over the past year, your board of directors has been raising contributions to make this dream, Eli Herscher's dream, a reality. To date, over 80% of the project's cost, representing over $5.5 million, has been raised, over $1.5 million of which has been specifically earmarked for Shalom Garden. And of this, 25% of the contributions come from your temple's board. This would not have been possible without the efforts of so many people, and many of them you saw here today as greeters, our temple's board. But most important in all of this, in realizing Eli's vision, is a board member of ours that I would like you to recognize, who is our vice president and has been leading this effort for Shalom Garden, Janine Kolodny. This major game-changing project is a concrete way for us to show our appreciation to Eli through philanthropy. There remains a little bit more to be raised to realize the completion of Eli's vision. So it's not too late for you to be the one to put us over the top. Janine is here accepting pledges. This impressive sum raised to date is more than has been raised through any celebration, any tribute book in the history of Stephen Wise Temple. A central feature of Shalom Garden will be olive trees, whose beauty, resiliency, and resonance with the Jewish people and with Israel is so meaningful to Eli. The olive tree is one of the 7 species named in the Torah as a product of Eretz Yisrael. It produces the oil that kindled the menorah in the Jerusalem temple. The dove brought Noah an olive twig after the flood as a symbol of life renewed. The olive branch is the symbol of peace, chosen by the state of Israel for its emblem. Plus, of course, it is known for its longevity. These trees can live longer than 2,000 years, resonating with the length and durability of Eli's tenure here. I began by quoting the teachings of our fathers. Most people quote only the first few words. Make for yourself a rabbi, acquire for yourself a friend. They often neglect to quote the rejoinder to these words, judge every person favorably. This speaks to the openness and warmth of one's heart, a warm heart, a Jewish heart, Eli's heart, the heart of a rabbi and of a teacher, someone who finds the best in everyone and everything. That's Eli. I want to say one of the benefits today, one of the few times I've actually gotten a seat up front, because we don't reserve seats in this place, is being able to see when Bonnie lit the candles and to see the look that she gave to Eli and the smile and the wink that he gave back to her. And when I look at their relationship and the warmth and love in that, I think of the warmth and love of the relationship that Eli has with us and that we have with him. When we're talking about the best, how can any mention of Eli not also acknowledge his better half, Bonnie Herscher, who has been his partner through this remarkable life of this congregation? To Bonnie and the Herscher family, thank you for all you have done for us and for loaning Eli to us for all these years. As a second to the last gift to honor Eli, I want to present a gift to him, and I'd like to ask him to come up. This is like standing next to Elvis. I am pleased to present to you a sculpture that incorporates the olive tree motif so treasured by Eli and the meaning of Rabbi Yeshua's quote. We asked the Israeli artist Moshe Zabari to create a unique piece to commemorate this milestone. Mr. Zabari has designed 3 other sculptures at Stephen Wise: the bronze doors of the chapel ark, the wave symbolic talit in the sanctuary, and the ark sculpture on the plaza. On behalf of the board of directors and your congregants, I want to present this to you with an inscription that will also be in the garden, the Shalom garden, in your honor. These are words written by your brother. Eli, may these never end. The sharing of your wisdom, kindness, and goodness, the warmth of your heart, the depth of your soul. I said that was the second to the last gift we're giving you. The last gift, on behalf of this loving congregation, is our undying love, admiration, respect, and thanks. Thank you, Rabbi Herscher, from your congregation of 40 years, our rabbi, teacher, leader, friend, and mensch. Mazel tov.
Shabbat Shalom. I remember when my parents first brought my newborn brother home. This was Tel Aviv, 1947. A long time ago, but I remember. I was 7 years old. My aunt and uncle had been looking after me while my mother was in the hospital giving birth, and my father, our father, at her side. I remember that they came home in a taxi, which itself was a rare event. The birth of a brother was rarer still, and the only time it ever happened to me. But I wasn't happy. After all, my parents, I had them all to myself for the first 7 years of life. I wasn't ready to share them with anyone else, but let alone this tiny, not so tiny anymore, bundle of joy. But then they let me hold him, and I saw him. I saw his face for the first time, and my heart just opened, Eli. I still remember that feeling because I still have that feeling. Eli Herscher, as a brother, as a father, as a grandfather, as a husband, as an uncle, as a friend, as a rabbi, as a teacher. Eli Herscher still opens hearts. I've known that longer than anyone here. But I'm still astonished, Eli, by this gift, still inspired by it, still grateful for it. More and more, Eli, as the years have passed. Eli is my beloved brother and your beloved rabbi. How fortunate I am. How fortunate we are. How fortunate is everyone whose heart you have touched and warmed and comforted and lifted. Now, it almost didn't happen. I was born during the darkest years of the Holocaust, a year before my parents learned that they had lost most of their families in the Nazi scourge in Europe. Such was their grief that they were not sure they wanted to bring another Jewish life into the world. A world that could be so dark for the Jewish people. But the impending birth of the state of Israel, the Jewish state, to which our family was eyewitnessed only months after Eli was born, gave new hope for a brighter world and a brighter future. And so Eli and the state of Israel came into the world together. In our little family, this was all the more reason to rejoice. Now, here we are, Eli, just 67 years later, and still rejoicing over Israel and over you also. As children, we didn't have very much. Certainly, we didn't have any money. A treasured birthday gift was a small chocolate bar. That bar was wonderful, better than any big bar I've ever had. In those days, it was very hard to make a living in Israel, in Tel Aviv. And finally, our parents made the difficult decision to immigrate to San Jose, California, about which we knew nothing except that family relationships, actually an uncle and aunt and their families were there. This was a wrenching transition. We were suddenly immigrants, our parents for the second time, strangers in a strange land. We had been raised speaking German and Hebrew and had not a word of English. But we learned, as immigrants do. We were fortunate to have kind neighbors and teachers. For the first time, we were living where Jews were a minority, and in our community, a very small minority. But we had much in common with our non-Jewish neighbors. Modest homes, modest jobs, and modest circumstances. I think this was formative for Eli, as it was for me. We were working people, and very proud of it. Our aspirations were humble, our dream was a small share of the American dream. I have dwelled on these early years not so much out of nostalgia, well, maybe a little, but to shed light on why Eli Herscher became a rabbi and the kind of rabbi he became. His Jewish roots were deep, planted in the Jewish homeland. Becoming a rabbi meant finding a way to tap those ancient roots, to give them new life, new branches, new blossoms in a new world. He has been doing this at Stephen S. Wise Temple for 40 years. That's how long it took for the people of Israel to reach a promised land. Quite a journey. This has been Eli's lifetime as a rabbi, his labor of love for Torah, the Jewish people, and for you. During his years as this rabbi of Stephen S. Wise Temple, the congregation has grown. This is something of which any rabbi would be proud. But I can tell you what makes Eli prouder. That the growth has not only been in numbers, it has been in the richness of Jewish experience, the breadth and depth of education, the renewal of spirituality, the warmth of human encounter. These qualities are not as tangible as numbers, but they speak in other ways, immeasurable ways. They are what make a synagogue and a community, what makes a synagogue and a community a home. They are what gives a synagogue a heart and a soul. Eli would be the first to say that a rabbi does not achieve this alone. A thriving congregation requires the devoted labors of an entire clergy, faculty and staff, the board of directors, and countless of volunteers, and you, committed congregants. But someone must set the tone. Someone must show the way. Eli would be absolutely the last to claim any credit for how greatly this congregation has flourished under his leadership. That's all right. I'm your brother. I'll claim it for you. So after 40 years, why not? If not now, when? Why does everyone love Eli? I've often asked myself this question. Yeah, he's kind and charming and good-looking. He's generous and thoughtful and eloquent. He's a magnificent, very magnificent teacher of Torah. All those things. But here's what I think is most special about you, Eli. You make us feel special. Eli sees the divine image within all of you, and he draws it out of all of us. He respects you. He respects you. He values you. He appreciates you. He listens when you talk. He comforts and he supports you in all times of trial and trouble. He sees what is best in all of us, and he brings out the best in us. Herscher, my much younger brother, is not an enabler. He's an ennobler. He brings out our best. It's that rarest of gifts, the capacity to open hearts and to ennoble them, Eli. That's why he's beloved, because he loves you. And he loves us, and he does it all the time. Because he has taught us by word and example that to love and to be loved are the most precious experiences we can ever know. Many of us thrive on the attention of others. I know none of you do. Many rabbis certainly do. It's a temptation, isn't it, to bask in the spotlight of a pulpit, in the elevation of the office, in the perception of wisdom, deserved or not. Does that sound like Eli Herscher? I don't think so. Do you know of a rabbi of less pretension, less pomposity, and less self-important? I don't think so. Eli Herscher does not demand attention. He doesn't even seek it. He has served this congregation day to day, week to week, year to year, with singular devotion, quiet dignity, and unfailing integrity, and without fanfare. It has been said that to give quietly is to give twice. That is how Eli gives. He gives and gives. You may not have even noticed, and that too is a gift. It brings to mind the Talmudic example of two merchants in the marketplace. One sells precious stones. The other sells tinsel. The tinsel attracts the crowds, at least at first. Tinsel, after all, demands attention. It glitters and it preens. But when we realize it is only tinsel, flashy, flimsy, and superficial, that is when we seek out the seller of precious stones. The gems who glow, they are subtle, but whose beauty is genuine and whose value only increases with the years. And the congregation of Stephen S. Wise has given back to you, Eli, your trust, your support, your respect, your affection for 4 memorable decades. Few tenures of any kind last that long, as Glenn mentioned earlier. It is a remarkable chapter, not only in the life of this congregation, but in the history of American Jewry. The continuity of rabbinic leadership of Stephen S. Wise from our very, very special dear Rabbi Isaiah Zeldin, to Eli Herscher, and now to you, Yoshi. It speaks only of remarkable rabbis. but it also speaks of remarkable lay leaders of loyalty and vision. I have yet to mention Stephen Wise's most wonderful gift to Eli, the first to speak tonight. Dearest Bonnie, as she mentioned, here's where they met. Here is where their love took root and blossomed. Here is where their children, Dawn, Sarah, and Adam, grew up. Eli's labor of love has embraced not only Stephen S. Wise's family, but the beginning and flourishing of his own family. The two stories are intertwined. As our ancient forebears learned, a journey of 40 years is a long time. No one can make it alone. Eli has been so greatly blessed to have Bonnie, Dawn, Sarah, and Adam at his side. The sages teach that the bearers of the Ark of the Covenant carried it through the wilderness, but sometimes they needed help. And at those times, miraculously, it was the Ark that carried them. So it is true with Eli and his family. They have carried each other through the years. They have journeyed beside you and besides this great congregation. They have been blessings in our hearts and in our lives. To honor Eli and his 4 decades of spiritual leadership, yes, Glenn, a grove of olive trees will soon be planted a few steps away from this sanctuary in a garden that is to bear your name. A more appropriate tribute cannot be imagined. The olive tree, as was said before, is native to the land of Israel, as you are. It is sturdy, as you are. Its leaves are silvery, as Eli's are, but rather sparse and silvery. The olive tree produces the pure oil that did kindle the menorah in Jerusalem. The forebears of the Ner Tamid. After 40 days and 40 nights, not quite 40 years, but the same significant number, the dove does return to Noah's Ark with a twig. Can you imagine? With a twig of an olive tree in its beak, the symbol of hope and renewal. And it is the olive branch signifying peace that is the emblem of the state of Israel and the ultimate aspiration of the Jewish people. I began my reflections tonight by remembering the day our mother and father brought my newborn brother home. And now, dear Eli, I think of our parents again and how proud they would be tonight of the man you became, the man you are, and the years of selfless devotion. How proud they would be, Eli. How grateful they would be and how grateful they would rejoice. And now, how grateful do I rejoice as your brother to see your life and how you have honored your life and their memory. A final word about the olive tree and about my brother. The story's told of a traveler lost in the desert, hungry, thirsty, exhausted. He has at last come upon a very beautiful tree. Its shade was pleasant. Its olives were savory, and a fresh stream of water flowed beside it. And he refreshed himself as he prepared to resume the journey. The traveler turned gratefully to the olive tree. You have blessed me. How shall I bless you? Shall I wish that your shade be more pleasant? It can't be more pleasant. That your olives be savory? They can't be more savory. That water should tend you? It tends you now. The only blessing I can give you is this blessing. May there be many more just like you. And how fortunate and blessed all of us would be and are. Mina and I, our entire family, this congregation, this community, the Jewish people, the entire world, if there could be many more just like Eli Herscher.
Shabbat Shalom. I just wanted to see if I said that to a congregation, if they would respond like that. So thank you very much. I'm very honored that I was asked to write a piece of music for Eli tonight. Eli has been a very important part of my life personally. And is very happy to be able to write something that we're going to perform tonight for this special occasion. Over the past 40 years, Eli has given so much of himself, his heart, his warmth, his humanity, his wisdom, and his spirituality to the whole community of Stephen S. Wise, and I think we've all profited by it very much. I know I have, and my family has. On a personal level, Eli's my friend, and he's been there for us and with us for the most momentous times in our lives, my family's life, Joan and I. Shortly after he came here, almost 40 years ago, he bar mitzvahed the first of my children, Robbie, who's here tonight, and then my daughter and my other son. And after that, the weddings came, and he and our other cherished friend, Nate Lamb, married my children. And now we started with the bar mitzvahs and my lovely, sweet, beautiful daughter, Olivia, and soon to be coming up next, Ava, who's singing in the choir. This is an extraordinary connection for anyone to have. And I know we feel very blessed to have that connection with you, Eli. I call the piece Eli simply that, but in the beautiful words that Uri Herscher wrote, that Glenn Sonnenberg said is going to be in the garden permanently, that I had the pleasure to set the music for this piece. Every time it says Eli, it follows with Yedidi, Eli, my friend. And then it follows Shalo Yigamru Li'alam, which means may these things never end. As I say, those are Words, the beautiful words that follow that Glenn Sonnenberg wrote, will be permanently in the garden and permanently part of the piece that I wrote. I also used a poem by Hannah Senish that I've set to music. She was a resistance fighter who perished in the Holocaust. Before I started to work on this piece, I asked Eli, I'd just like to say one other thing on a personal level. Just prior to coming in tonight, we had a chance to chat. And Eli recalled to me how many times my mother, who was with us for many years here, used to come every time we came for any service. We never left before we came up. My mother was Israeli. She was born in Israel. And she had this very pure dialect that Eli would tell me. I wouldn't know that. But she always came up to see Eli and Nate to speak Hebrew. And as I recall that with great pleasure, so did Eli. So what a powerful connection for me. So before I started writing this piece, I asked Eli that when I finish it, would you like to come to my house and hear it? And he said no. He wants to hear it for the first time tonight. So I'm sorry to say we can't make any changes at this point, Eli. It's too late for that. Eli, Yedidi, my friend, this is for you. I hope you enjoy it.
sea and the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens.
When a Jew opens his eyes in the morning to greet the new day, he's taught to make these words the first to come out of his mouth. Modeh ani lefanecha. I am so grateful before you. At the very moment of waking up, thank you are the first words we speak. We say them again and again every morning so that we will always be mindful of the countless blessings of our lives. This heart is so full right now, to overflowing with appreciation and with gratitude to you, to this sacred community of Stephen Wise Temple. Modeh ani lefanecha. Charles Fox. Dear Charlie, modeh ani, for your gift of song and spirit. You were all of 21 years old when you wrote a letter from Paris where you were studying music to your parents back home in New York. And in that letter, you talked about composing. In the end, you wrote, "It is only the ear and the heart which count." Not only in your music, Charlie, but in your friendship, which I treasure, your ear is so finely attuned and profoundly sensitive to the music of life. And your heart is so generously open. You've given me, I wrote this before I heard it. Now I can really say it with honesty. You've given me a rare and great gift tonight, for which I will always be grateful. Modeh ani. All of you who have worked so hard to make this evening moving and beautiful, modeh ani. I can't thank you all tonight, but know that I'm looking forward to thanking each of you personally in the days ahead. Glenn Sonnenberg, modeh ani, for this beautiful gift, but for so much more, for your tireless leadership that has met all of the challenges along the way. It's never a smooth path, but especially modeh ani for your loyalty and friendship. And to our board of directors and to all of our past presidents, but especially to the founding generation, to those of you who are here who came in from the desert, who I'm, you and this board and our past presidents, you are at the core of the sacred partnership, our sacred partnership for the Jewish people, modeh ani. Pam, where are you, Pam? There you are. Dearest Pam Balton, you and I have known each other for nearly all of my 40 years. You have always been among the first to say Hineni, and public recognition is the last thing that you have ever sought. My brother could do it for me, I can do it for you. This celebration is your work and that of my brother Uri. I'll speak to Uri soon, but Pam, this vision was yours, the countless hours of work yours, the amazing sense of good taste and the extraordinary dignity, all of it's yours. Modeh ani for all this, but more than anything, for the infinite generosity of your spirit and your love. My brother Uri, Uri has been as emotional about this day as I have, maybe more. And Uri thoughtfully and deliberately, and most of all, lovingly, selected the song that accompanied the video presentation. It is a song that comes out of our childhood in Israel, and it's called Kalaniot. There have been a number of surprises for me in tonight's service. Bonnie has been my surprise, especially. I did not know that she would stand. This is not a person who loves to stand up in front of a group such as this. So that was the best surprise of all. Kalaniot was meant to be, that song was meant to be one of the surprises, but I'm glad I learned of it. They couldn't keep it from me. I learned of it in advance. And I'm happy about that because I get to tell you about the song and what it means to me. Watching those pictures of my life pass before me, set to Kalaniot, means the world. Its words were written as a poem in 1945, exactly 70 years ago, when the surviving remnants of our people, our father and mother among them, were living the anguished losses of the Holocaust. The Kalanit, to which the poem is dedicated, is this bright red wildflower that is native to the land of Israel. You have to see the Kalanit. Its color is so deeply and brilliantly red, and it burns even redder under Israel's sunlight, passionately red. And after the rains of winter, it perennially comes back to life without fail every spring. That's when you can see Kalaniot blanketing the hills and the valleys of the entire land. In an Israel of 1945, struggling to be born, to be reborn, the poet celebrated the continual renewal of the Kalanit. His words became a song, and the legendary Israeli singer of those years, Shoshana Damari, it was her words that you heard, her voice that you heard singing it tonight. I've had a crush on her since I was a little boy. My father did too. She performed it publicly for the first time in 1948, the year Israel came back to life, like a Kalanit, just 6 months, as Uri told you, before I was born in Tel Aviv. Uri and I were born out of the ashes. And we were born into a land of optimism and hope, where as sure as the Kalanit would perennially renew her blossoms, the flowers of Jewish life would also begin to grow again, to bloom again. And when our parents brought us to America in 1954, here we found the one other soil in the entire world in which Jewish creativity and Jewish values and vision and hope could also blossom. Every day of my work as your rabbi, I have been conscious of where I come from and why I'm here. It is part of my Torah that somehow brought me to Stephen Wise Temple. Rabbi Isaiah Zeldin had the extraordinary vision to found this congregation in 1964, barely 19 years after the Shoah. Israel was only 16 years old when Shai and the founding generation first climbed this mountaintop. Rabbi Stephen Wise had been Shai's teacher. He was also the most ardent and influential American Zionist rabbi of his time. And he was also the most passionate fighter for justice on behalf of all those who were oppressed. And those were the values that gave our temple its name. that gave it birth. And in 1975, when I was 27 years old, wet behind the ears, newly minted, but hungry to learn and eager to serve as a rabbi, Shai invited me to be his partner and to teach me. And I could not have been, every year that we shared and in everything that we built, more privileged or more proud to learn from Shai and to work side by side with him. But more than the work, Shai, you and your beloved Florence embraced me as family, as you embraced Bonnie and our children. Shai modeh ani. There are no words sufficient to express my admiration, my gratitude, and my love. My first office at the temple was down by the swimming pool, right next to Matuka Benjamin. And so many of my happiest memories of her, are of our work together. We shared our love of the Jewish people and our love of Israel. We even sang Kalaniot together. You should hear us when we sing. We're pretty good. We laughed a lot, and on occasion we cried. We shared our pride in the generations of children who were growing up in our magnificent schools. That Charlie, your granddaughter Ava, was among the children who sang tonight. If you couldn't see the kids that were up there, you heard them, their wonderful voices. They are the best of Wise School, and that means they're the best of the best. For Matuka and for me, it was always about the children. And for my own children, Matuka created her uniquely special relationship with each of them and made them her friends. Modeh ani Matuka. And then there was Nate. Then there was Nate. It took me all of about 3 months to have heard every punchline in his vastly comedic repertoire. Fortunately for both of us, I don't remember jokes very well. So he has been telling me the same ones over and over again for 39 years, and I still can't help but laugh. But when I stand on this bima next to Nate, I cannot feel more at home. At home in our sacred liturgy, at home in the meaning and the power of our prayers. Nate is the only person who can take me from the absolutely silly to the profoundly sacred. He also trained me well, so yes, Nate, you sound great. More importantly, you look great. Modeh ani, for the friendship and for the love. I have worked every day of the last 17 years with Ron Stern, 11 years with David Woznicka, 7 years with Spike Anderson, the last 3 precious years with Yoshi Zweiback. We are a diverse lot, each of us so very different from the other, yet always united in the sacredness of the work. Every Tuesday morning, as you've heard, we have sat together in my office, and in classical rabbinic style, we have talked about, and sometimes we have fought about. Those are fights that are known as arguments for the sake of heaven. Sacred arguments about how to make this temple and our schools better, how to make our community stronger, how to serve Israel and the Jewish people better, how to make this world more whole. If you'll permit me, I do take some pride in having brought each of these great rabbis to Stephen Wise. Working with them every day has brought me great personal fulfillment. Tonight I'm especially moved and grateful for your beautiful wishes. Modeh ani. My brother Uri is the only, you already know this, he is the only person in this sanctuary who has known me since I was born. He confessed to you that he did not initially welcome my intrusion into his life. Actually, he sugarcoated it. There is really a more graphic story. I have this on good authority of our beloved parents of blessed memory that Uri actually wished to throw me into the garbage. Modeh ani ima and Abba for having restrained him from those inauspicious beginnings. Arose two brothers who could not love each other more. Uri knows me in ways that no one else can. Because we share a story of tragedy and renewal and hope. In the deepest, the most personal, and the most profound ways, we share our story. I've been your rabbi for 40 years because my big brother has always paved the way for me. Because he has always loved me without condition, just as I love him in return. Because he has awakened me and inspired me, and because in my moments of greatest doubt, Uri has encouraged me, and Uri has strengthened me, and Uri has always believed in me, even if I didn't in myself. Modeh ani, Uri. You make me the most fortunate and grateful of brothers. Bonnie, Uri had it right. She's the most precious gift this congregation gave me. She told you that she had joined Stephen Wise as a single mom and that she saw me at services. I too wished I knew who that lady was because I'm grateful to her. But at that point, I had not yet seen Bonnie until she volunteered to be our nurse at our confirmation conclave out at Calamigos Ranch. And late that Shabbat night, after all the kids were in their bunks, I encountered this gorgeous redhead dressed in an even brighter red sweater. I am evidently attracted to red. I also took note of her jeans, in which she looked amazing. I'm retiring. I can say whatever I want. It didn't take long for me to see that Bonnie's outer beauty really was a reflection of a beauty, a kindness, a generosity that went so much deeper. 2 years later, as she told you right here on this bima, 35 years ago, Rabbi Zeldin, Nate, Uri, and my treasured friend Jim Astman married the two of us. Dawn came into my life as my daughter, and then Adam was born to us, and then Sarah. And they all grew up here. Adam fell asleep in the front row in all my sermons. They all grew up here in our schools and in this sanctuary. And they all, as you've heard, they did. Uri was right. They lent their father to this temple, not always happily, but each of them with amazing patience and understanding. I could not have been your rabbi without them, without Bonnie most of all, as she was working tirelessly at her own calling as an extraordinary ER nurse. All the while, she was at the very center of our family. She was doing it all, nurturing our children and me. Modeh ani, with love beyond measure. And now to you, my community, my friends, my people. Because all this, when all is said and done, it really is all about you. You're the lifeblood. You are the spirit. You are the strength of everything we do on this sacred mountaintop. You may think you're just members. You're not members. You're the force of all of our successes. You're the living text, the living and breathing Torah of the Jewish people. And your work, our work, the work of our temple and our wise schools is to fulfill the vision of our Jewish tradition by living it. By living it creatively, by living it fervently, by living it vibrantly. Your work is the labor of love for our temple, for our people, and for Israel. Your work is nothing less than the sacred work of making lives whole. Nothing less than bringing repair and healing into a broken world. And what a great blessing it is that Yoshi Zweiback is going to lead you in that work as your senior rabbi. And what a blessing for me to be so fortunate, so privileged, and so hopeful to pass the torch to him. Dear Yoshi, modeh ani, for the great gifts of your Torah, for your love of Israel and the Jewish people, for the inspired leadership that you're going to bring to Stephen Wise, and for your friendship. I am going to be so grateful to be part of your congregation, to celebrate you, and to support you in the great years ahead. Lastly, my friends, I want you to know, each of you, I can really say each of you because I know each of you. That's extraordinary to me, to consider that I know each of you. I want you to know how precious you are to me. Many of you have very generously been sharing your memories of our years together, and you've been telling me of some of the gifts I've given you, and I couldn't be more grateful for that appreciation and for your love. But I want you to know that you have given me the greatest gifts any rabbi could hope for. You have allowed me to teach you the inspired texts of our people that make me who I am. To teach you a vision of Jewish life and hope. To teach you of a people reborn and renewed and always seeking to bring light to an often darkened world. You have given me the great gift, the privilege of teaching your children. It is you. Ultimately, it is you who called me to this sacred work. It has been a labor of love, and it has made my life more deeply fulfilling than I could ever have imagined. For I have stood under the chuppahs, the hope-filled chuppahs of some 2,000 weddings. and pass the Torah at countless Bnei Mitzvah, as I have been with you at sorrow-filled gravesides and rejoiced with you at innumerable baby-naming celebrations of precious new life and hope. Every one of those moments, from the most painful to the most joy-filled, each one has been a gift for me, because in them, you invited me into your lives. You called me to be present. You asked me to be vulnerable, and you awakened me to be more deeply Jewish as you inspired me to become more deeply human. You gave me the gift of being your rabbi. You opened my heart, and you all live in a very special place within it. Modeh ani, modeh ani, modeh ani. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
While you're up, please stay up. Aleinu. Kaddish, page 44. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'l'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh.
v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ose shalom mimromav, uyase shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. I now want to call up Bonnie and Eli and their children. And we are going to bless them. Now, when I say we, it's not just Uri and I. We're actually going to not bless them. We're going to help prompt you to bless them. This is a tradition. Usually the Kohanim, the priests, ancient priests, would bless the people, and someone would have to prompt them. So there's a little nigun that goes with it, and when I say Yavarechecha, after I say it, you say it. Remembering that you don't leave until they leave. Remember the instructions in the beginning. So, Yevarechecha Adonai V'yishmerecha.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
Amen. Yair Adonai Panav Eilecha Vichuneka.
The Lord look kindly upon you and be gracious unto you.
Isa Adonai Panav Eilecha Veyasem Lecha Shalom.
The Lord smile upon you and grant you long life, health, and happiness, surrounded by the love of family, friends, and this remarkable congregation. And may He grant peace to all the house of Israel and all the world.
Together, Amen. Amen.
Adon olam asher malach meterem kol yetzir nivra lehet asor melech zokol asay melech shemo nikra
Ve'acharei kichlot hakol
Eli